The first thing we'll do is go to the third person folder and then go to the blueprints folder. And in here, we'll have the BP third person character. We want to change the name of the blueprint to BP underscore player. And then open the blueprint. And to keep things organized, we'll move this window and dock it here so that we can easily switch between the different tabs. And we'll go to the viewport and select the cube and then delete that for now, as we don't really need it. It was just an example we used in the previous lesson. Then we save and compile, and we go back. And for now, we have this character by default, which is the Unreal Engine mannequin. And this is usually used for all the templates that Unreal Engine provides, and is a very good starting point. But for us, we want to use our own character, so we'll escape. And first we'll go to the content folder, which is the root folder of the project. And then we go to the folder where you downloaded in the previous lesson, the game assets that we'll be using in this course. Open the folder, and then go to the character folder. In here we have an FBX file, which is a file format for 3D models. And we'll import that into the project. We can import it by dragging it into the project just like this, and then dropping it into the content folder. And then we'll get this import content window. There is a bunch of different settings in here, but you don't have to worry about them because the default settings are fine and good enough. Now on top of importing the 3D model, it will also import the animations and the materials for the character, and the skeleton as well. I'll go over all of these later on, but for now, let's select all the assets by clicking on the first one, holding Shift, and clicking on the last one, and that will select everything in between. And then we drag and drop it into the characters folder, and then choose Move. This is very interesting, where when you move assets between different folders, you always have the option to either move it there or make a copy of it there and put it in that folder. In our case, we just need to move it, so we'll choose Move here. And then we go into the character folder, and in here, we'll make a new folder by right-clicking and pressing on New Folder. And we will call it Character. And again, we'll select them all, and then drag them to the character folder by selecting Move here. Then we go into the character folder, and now we have everything organized here. Next, let's clean things up a little bit more by making two more folders. The first one we will call Animations, and then the second one we will call Materials. And in here, we'll select all the animations, and then drag and drop them into the Animations folder. And we will do the same thing with the materials by selecting them all. And be careful and make sure to deselect anything that you don't want to drag into it, which are these two. And so we'll press Control and hold, and then select these to deselect them. And this way we only have the materials selected, and then we hold and drag them into the materials folder as well. Now everything is very clean and organized. Now let's start adding the character into our blueprint. By the way, on the left side of the content browser, below here, you can see a hierarchy of all the folders of the project. So this is an easy way to switch between folders. So let's go to the blueprints folder and open the player blueprint. Go to the viewport, and here we'll select the character mesh. We can also select it from the components view. And then on the right side, under mesh, we can change the mesh of the character. And here we'll select the character one that we just imported. As you can see, it shows up here. And then when you select it, you have him here. Now, if you zoom in and look around a bit, you'll see that he looks a little bit weird. And that's because it's using the same animations as the Unreal Engine mannequin. So just to fix this, you can click on this arrow, which basically resets any setting. So when you click that and then press compile, he'll go back to his basic look and pose. And now we can press play, and we'll see the character in the game. Now one thing we want to adjust is this capsule component. So this basically is the collision that we use when we walk around and move around in the game. And this capsule collision is what is used for the character to interact with the world. So we have to always make sure that it's the right size based on the character's size. So as you can see here in our example, there's a bit of a gap, so we'll have to change the size a little bit. When you select the capsule component, on the right side, there is a shape section. And in here, you have the capsule half height, which is basically the vertical size of the capsule. And we will change that to 75. And we'll also select the character mesh and adjust the height of it to -75. And now the capsule shape matches the character size. And if we press play and see in the game, everything works fine. And the shape is just right. So when we walk into a collision, it's the appropriate size. Now there's one issue with the shadow of the character. Currently the shadow is actually quite realistic, and it's casting from the direction where the sun is. But the issue with that is in 3D platformers, typically, to make platforming much easier, the shadow should be in the bottom of the character. So when the character jumps, you can see where they're going to land. But with this realistic kind of shadow, it's really hard to see that. So there's one easy way to fix that. Let's go back to the scene and drag this down here a bit so we can see a bit better. And in the outliner, select the directional light. This controls basically the sun direction. So as an example, we can rotate it and you'll see the shadows adjusting accordingly. It's snapping because we have currently snap on for rotation, so we can actually disable it and then see how it rotates like that. And you can actually control this to have it nighttime by rotating the y-axis. And as you can see, it changes like that. And Unreal Engine has a high quality sky system, so it actually adjusts with it, and you'll see like a sundown effect. But we don't want that right now, so we can undo and go back. And what we want to do is adjust the sky to be 100% diagonal. So we'll change the y-axis to -90. And this makes the shadows diagonal. Now when we press play, you will see the shadow is directly below the character. And when he jumps, it doesn't change, and you'll always know where you're going to fall. This is very useful during platforming challenges, where you will know where you're going to land. One final thing we want to do is change the lighting a little bit. Currently, the shadows are a little bit too harsh. We can see it here below this box. It's a little bit too dark. So we select the skylight that's in the outliner, and we change the intensity scale to 2. And as you can see now, it's a little bit more brighter, and when you play, things look a little bit better. But as you've noticed, there's a very big problem here. There is no animations for the character right now, and he's just in his T-pose. So we'll work on this in the next lecture.